Welcome, dear viewers. Here, we are going to embark on a journey into the mythical world and the beautiful, legendary story of the city of Babylon. We will delve into the life of the courageous and mighty mythical king who changed the world. We will discover the complete story of his life and the genesis of the greatest kingdom of Babylon, leading to its transformation into a mythical empire. So, all you lovers of myth and enigmatic tales, join us as we explore the realm of the mythical city of Babylon and its fascinating legends. Once upon a time, there existed a grand and mythical city called Babylon. Its people were joyous and merry, and the city itself was powerful, both in terms of prosperity and economy. The inhabitants of this city were always content, happy, and satisfied. Legends say that Babylon was a mythical, magnificent, and grand city in rare wonders and beauties from all around the world could be witnessed. Babylon constantly held a position of power and always strived for peace and tranquility among the people of the world. For this reason, leaders and peoples from all the great cities of the world would come to this mythical city to celebrate and engage in trade. This grand and mythical city had only one reason for transforming into the greatest and most powerful empire in the world. That reason was the presence of the greatest and wisest king in the world, King Darius. He was an incredibly wise individual with exceptional abilities in governing the country. He was a peaceful, serious, and powerful leader. The people of Babylon adored King Darius and held a great respect for him. Furthermore, due to King Darius's immense power and peaceful nature, and his willingness to assist various cities and countries, his name had become intertwined through all the mythical lands. Everyone knew and admired him. King Darius had 5 children, but his eldest son, Prince Mehmet, the crown prince and the great heir of the city of Babylon, stood out as the best, most powerful, and righteous among them. He was a mighty and powerful warrior, a brave commander, and the overall leader of the Babylonian army. Following his father's orders, King Darius, he engaged in a great battle against the demons of the city of Tarut, aiming to defeat their darkness and tyranny. His second son, Ardashir, was a wise individual and, like his elder brother, possessed strength and power. He was responsible for the city's security and served as the commander of the royal guard. The third son, Atrin, was a highly intelligent and clever person. Although he lacked the martial skills and swordsmanship expertise of his 2 older brothers, he possessed great intelligence and assisted his father in matters of the kingdom. He excelled in the arts of magic and sorcery. The 4th child was Princess Azuraksh, a remarkably beautiful, knowledgeable, courageous, and wise young woman. She possessed exceptional archery skills to the extent that no one in the world could match her in marksmanship. Her eyes were as beautiful and sharp as those of a gazelle. Due to her immense wisdom and extensive knowledge, she served as the spokesperson of the court and controlled the country's commerce. The fifth and youngest child of King Darius had not yet been born and was on the verge of entering the world. King Darius had not chosen a name for the child yet. King Darius had participated in numerous wars and battles, emerging victorious in all of them. He was an indomitable king who fought for peace and goodness. He had defeated many dark demons and vanquished numerous demonic cities, bringing peace and tranquility to the realm. However, as you may know, demons and darkness always exist, and there always needs to be someone to combat them and eradicate their presence. King Darius had a long-standing wish to eradicate all the darkness and wicked demons of the world. However, his age had advanced, and he realized that he needed to pass on this mission to his children. That's why he had commanded his eldest son, Crown Prince Mehmet, to lead a massive army to the city of Tarut and destroy the demons there. Tarut was a large and dark city where demons and malevolent creatures ruled. They mercilessly killed and slaughtered innocent people and had devastated many great countries and cities. They had taken vast amounts of land and shed copious amounts of blood. The city of Tarut housed the most powerful demons and devilish sorceresses. They had a formidable army known as the Dark Blood, comprised of fire demons, wild sorcerers, and a vast number of black demons. The king of Tarut was a demonic being named Artabaz, half devil and half demon. He was immensely powerful and ruthless, devoid of any feelings or emotions. His sole pleasure lay in killing and slaughtering. His ultimate goal was the destruction of the entire world and all humans. In one of his attacks on the grand and beautiful city of Tashkent, Artabaz reduced the city to ashes, annihilating its inhabitants. He killed the men, enslaved the women, and impaled the city's ruler on a spear as a grim trophy of his conquest. The princess of Tashkent was captured and taken as a slave by Artabaz, the king of Tarut. He chose her as his wife, subjecting her to a life of captivity. However, after the princess became pregnant and gave birth to her child, she passed away due to cruelty and merciless nature of the demonic king, Artabaz. He showed no mercy and took pleasure in inflicting suffering upon others. Artabaz had engaged in several battles with King Darius, and despite his attempts, he could only resist the king once. he failed to capture the city of Babylon and constantly suffered defeat at the hands of King Darius. Now, his son, Crown Prince Mehmet, had come from Babylon to sever Artabaz's head and present it as a gift to his father, King Darius. Mehmet was stationed in the vast plains of Tarut, preparing for war and leading his camp. He spent months strategizing, searching for a way to penetrate the impenetrable fortress city of dark Tarut. He had brave and formidable comrades by his side, and one of his most courageous and valiant companions was Tanner. Tanner was a skilled and intelligent warrior, possessing great prowess in military strategy. However, he was excessively ambitious, which was one of his darker human traits. Tanner's unstable greed for power and gold often tempted him. He would amass vast amounts of gold during battles, but he remained a loyal commander and held a deep affection for his city. In the end, with Tanner's help and the support of his other commanders, Mehmet found a way to bring about the destruction of Artabaz's dark army. They prepared themselves for battle and began their final preparation to confront the dark forces in the ultimate clash. While Tanner was preparing for war inside his tent, a sudden green light appeared in front of him, and a beautiful sorceress approached. However, Tanner knew that she was a demonic sorceress from the city of Tarut. Nevertheless, her beauty was captivating, and Tanner became entranced by her charm. The sorceress turned to Tanner and said, "You are powerful and brave, Commander. You shouldn't sacrifice your own life in war. You can become a king with endless wealth and boundless power." Tanner, torn between his ambitions and his loyalty, listened intently to the sorceress's words. He contemplated the allure of becoming a king and the promise of limitless power and wealth. Tanner, already consumed by the sorceress's words and his growing greed for power, couldn't resist her offer. The sorceress opined a magical getaway, urging Tanner to accompany her. Without hesitation, Tanner followed the sorceress through the getaway, and after a brief moment, they found themselves in a grand, dark, and demonic court. Tanner, bewildered, turned around in circles, questioning his surroundings, only to hear a sinister and dark voice say, "You are in the court of the great demon, Artabaz." As Tanner's gaze fell upon Artabaz, he trembled and fell to the ground. Artabaz, seated on his royal throne, rose and lifted his mighty sword, approaching Tanner. As he advanced towards Tanner, he spoke, "You are a deserving commander, a cunning and powerful individual. Surely you have found a way to infiltrate my city. You are worthy of the best. Even though I know your foolish king and his incompetent son do not value you. Now you should live in a palace. Your worth is greater than this. Tan, overwhelmed by the situation and Artabaz's words, struggled to comprehend the offer and the implications of siding with the enemy. Tanner, reining his courage, stood up and addressed Artabaz. You have no sense of humanity. You are nothing but a demon. You cannot pass judgment on others. I am a great commander, and after I have served the prince's reputation, and he will separate your head from your body, I will receive a great reward. I will make this city my own headquarters. I deserve it, and the prince will grant me this power. I am certain of it. Tanner's words reflected his determination to pursue his ambitions, even if it meant aligning himself with darkness and betraying his former comrades. Artabaz, upon hearing Tanner's words, burst into laughter. He replied, "Don't be a fool. Death awaits all of you. Your so-called mighty king couldn't defeat me and conquer my city. His son is no different. I will strike the heart of your army and send a message to his father. Tomorrow morning, when the battle begins, your entire army will be reduced to dust. All of you will be slain, and you too will meet your end in your own ignorance and buried and forgotten." Artabaz's taunting words conveyed his confidence in his own power and his certainty of victory over Tanner and his forces. Tanner, overwhelmed with shock, shouted, "Silence, you wicked demon! You know nothing of where your confidence stems from." Artabaz, wearing a sinister smile, called forth his own sorceress. The beautiful sorceress appeared once again before Tanner, causing him to be taken aback. Artabaz instructed the sorceress, "Show him the future." Using her dark magic, the sorceress presented a scene of impending battle to Tanner. In that vision, Tanner witnessed that the Prince Mehmet, being defeated by Artabaz, with his head impaled on a spear, he saw himself burning alive, tormented, and still conscious. Tanner's mind was filled with horror as he comprehended the grim fate that awaited him if he continued down this path. Tanner, still in shock, muttered to himself, "This can't be true. It's a mistake." However, Artabaz approached Tanner, placing his hand on his shoulder and said, "Everything you saw was a reality. That sorceress predicts the future. She never makes mistakes. You must come to terms with this, Tanner." Feeling overwhelmed and frightened, Tanner sank to his knees and asked, "What should I do now?" Artabaz, looking down at Tanner, contemplated for a moment before replying, "You still have choice, Tanner. Embrace the path of darkness and join me. Together, we can conquer kingdoms and wield unimaginable power. Abandon your loyalty to your former king and embrace your true potential. The choice is yours." Tanner found himself at a crossroads, torn between his ambitions and the consequences that lay ahead. Artabazus smirked and said, "You have two paths ahead of you, death or attaining infinite power." Tanner lifted his head and asked, "How can I achieve power?" Artabazus replied, "Join me. Disband your army and pour false information into their ears regarding your mission. This way, you will remain safe and ascend to power." Tanner, still in shock, questioned, "But what will happen to the loyal soldiers and the prince?" Artabazus chuckled and said, "They are inconsequential. You will attain limitless power." Tanner, torn between his loyalty and his desire for power, hesitated in making a decision. Tanner, shocked by Artabaz's words, exclaimed, "What? How can I become the king of Babylon?" Artabaz responded, "Indeed, you will become the king of Babylon. After this war, we will launch an attack on Babylon together, and we will conquer the entire city. I will kill Darius and fulfill my long-standing desire, and you will ascend to the throne of Babylon." Tanner, overwhelmed by the sudden turn of events and the weight of the decisions before him, found himself at the crossroads. The allure of power and the promise of kingship clashed with his sense of loyalty and moral consonance. He realized that the path he chose would shape not only his own destiny, but also the fate of many others. Tanner, consumed by bitterness and greed, burst into laughter and said, "Accepted. Now, what should I do?" The sorceress stepped forward and handed Tanner the dark magic potion, saying, "Before the battle, consume this dark potion to gain power. Share a portion of it with some of your chosen soldiers, those with whom you plan to rebel. Then present the false plan to your commander, leading him into our trap. Everything will fall into place." Tanner took hold of the potion, and as he did, a door opened before him. He returned to his tent and looked at the wheel of magic, a sly smile forming on his lips. The great commander, consumed by greed and darkness, had taken control of the narrative. Now, it remained to be seen what he would do. Would he bring about destruction of everything? Would he become the next king of Babylon? Or would he ultimately betray his own ambitions and aid his prince? Though time was running out, the outcome was uncertain. Nobody knew what would happen, let alone the fate of the prince. Would he survive, or would he meet his demise? So, dear listeners, thank you for being part of the audience for these historical and mysterious tales from the world of legends. We appreciate your presence. This story concludes here, but the second part will be created if you wish. If you enjoyed this story, please like and subscribe so that we can narrate the second part of this saga for you. Feel free to share this video with your friends and acquaintances. introducing them to our legends. Until another tale, farewell.